All right, we are live for a Friday edition of the Mike and Mario Show. Excited to be back. Looking forward to connecting and finding out, what's going on in this crazy world. But before we do that, Mario, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Mike, and you?
I am not bad at all. Excited to be back. Took a couple of days off just to unplug and unwind, and so back behind the microphone. Looking forward to connecting and just navigating these choppy waters, my friend. But hope everyone's doing well. Those tuning in, as always, throw out some questions or whatnot in the chat, and then we'll definitely get those answered as we go throughout the show. So, Mario, man, what do you want to start off at? It looks like the metals is doing some things right now.
Yeah, the metals are picking up a little bit. They're breaking through key technical levels, especially gold through 1800. What I wanted to talk about today, though, is the Fed a little bit and the Bank of England this week. They had their meetings. I watched the press conference, not live, afterwards, the recorded press conference. And Jay Powell proved that they can't even think about raising rates.
Right.
And the tapering is just a gimmick because he said they can change the amount of taper depending on how things work out. And then yesterday, the markets here in the UK expected the Bank of England to raise rates from 0.1 to 0.2, and they didn't. And the pound dropped like 2%, which is huge, or 1.5%. And the price of gold in pounds is breaking out, which is a good sign, I think. And even though the dollar is quite strong, gold is going up, which is normal, in my opinion. Some people think that gold only goes up if the dollar is weak, but I think it's going to go up in all fiat currencies. So, yeah, I think that's the message for the week. The central banks confirmed that they can't stop inflating, even though they say they're fighting inflation.
Yeah. I also listened to the replay or try to catch as much as if I could live, but just once again, saying more of the same thing. But it's interesting how, the whole definition of it, of transitory, how they once again, just all over the place trying to not actually define transitory, to be held to it. So he bounced around a little bit, but the questions that were thrown out there, really stumped him sometimes because he was saying the same thing over and over again, not giving much information. But once again, it's the fact that he's, I guess, a lawyer in nature, nothing to do with the economic background, and he's in charge of the most, I guess, influential institution on the planet as far as the creator of currency, as well as the World Reserve currency issuer as well. So it's just show how much more of a Ponzi scheme this is. But when it comes to interest rates, I saw that Poland actually made some moves that caught people by surprise, for whatever that's worth. But then also they've been also getting their weight up with gold. So I was actually looking at some of the rates here, and Poland went from was about half a point up to a point and a quarter, whatever. So this is quite interesting. But look at all these Turkey's at 16% interest rates, Belarus at 9.25.
Yeah, the thing about Poland, it is in the European Union, but it doesn't use the euro. It uses the zloty. Zloty, Z-L-O-T-Y or Z-L-O. And Brazil has been raising rates as well, and some other countries, mainly because they're not part of the BIS upper echelon club, where they manipulate the currencies for you with the so they need to protect their currencies, because all these countries did a lot of QE and a lot of fiscal spending last year, and they have to raise rates again because their inflation is getting out of control, their CPIs, and they're actually doing something about it. But in the US and the UK, they're letting inflation run. I mean, I think it's a very significant week in terms of the central banks. I think we're going to see from now a huge move in all the commodities. I think we've had a little bit of a pause here in crude oil. And I don't like to say it, but I think gold and silver are finally going to break out. And one thing I noted, if I just, before I forget, when I listened to that press conference, Jay Powell, he was trying to justify keeping rates, almost at zero.
Being patient.
Being patient, because he said, the labor market's still very weak. But looking back 50 years, we are at the lower bound of unemployment rate. Not that
Yeah.
I believe in the unemployment rate,
Mhm.
but one thing that I thought was interesting, even though he might have looked a little bit flustered and nervous by
Mhm.
some of the questions, is that no one asked him, are you keeping interest rates low because you want to keep the stock market from collapsing?
Yeah.
Because that's what he's doing. It's not because he wants to create full employment.
Yeah.
He's not creating stable prices, which are his two main mandates: stable prices and full employment.
Yeah.
He's just using that as an excuse. He's not following the mandate right now because we have pretty much full employment.
Mhm.
And I don't mean like that people are doing well, but by the statistics, we have full employment.
Mhm.
And uh, so that's been done, but we don't have stable prices right now, and
Right.
he should be raising rates. But if he raised rates, the whole system would implode, the whole
Correct.
Ponzi scheme. And none of the reporters asked that question because
Right.
I would think they want to be back for the next press conferences.
Yeah. Now, so far, the whole taper wind down is set to, I guess, conclude in June or July. So that right there lets me know between now and that time frame, there's going to that the possibility of there being some type of unforeseen event in the markets is probably very probable now. And then they're going to say everything was going fine. Of course, they used the whole Delta as excuse to, while we were on track, and then Delta. So between now and then, there'll be something else thrown our way that will they'll step in and say, we tried, we attempted to, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe a climate emergency.
Yeah, that's something we haven't seen yet. Or
Yeah,
once again, we're still talking about the
the cyber
unforeseen.
pandemic.
Exactly. So there's some type
Yeah.
of event with the internet of power or something like that is going to come about. So, but in the meantime, you feel that the activity right now on metals will be right now this is a good bullish trend that will continue, or will there be another event on Monday to bring it down or something like that?
I was looking at the charts, and the
Mhm.
daily and weekly charts look okay, but the monthly charts starting to look good,
Yeah.
because like October was an up month,
Mhm.
and November looks like it's going to be like we're breaking the highs from October,
Mhm.
or pretty near the highs from October. So it looks like we've got some long-term momentum,
Yeah.
which is good. And even though some people might argue that somewhere above 1900 is the key resistance,
Mhm.
and above 30 for silver is like the line in the sand.
Yeah.
But there are some people who look at momentum, like Michael Oliver,
Mhm.
and he has his levels a lot lower. So we could see some explosive moves just above here.
Yeah.
But like you said, they could come in on Monday and bash it down again. But we'll have to wait and see. I
Yeah.
was surprised because this morning on my in my video, I said if I had to bet, I think gold is going to break 1800 today, and
Mhm.
we might see stops. And after I finished it, it went up to like 1800, and then it came down, and then you had the non-farm number, and it went down to 1785.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I don't think we're going to go again. But the fact that we're here relatively late in the day,
Mhm.
and we are up above 1800, and
Yeah.
silver's fighting around 24.
Yeah.
It's encouraging, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Yeah. For what it's worth, I'm definitely okay with that. But I anticipate some type of correction because, once again, they can't afford to lose control of of those two metals in particular, or more of their criminality will be exposed. But I want to shift gears a little bit towards the retirement concept. And so, just those two articles that let me pull one of them up here. But on just real simply on the UK side of things, and how they're literally as things are getting tight on their side, they're changing the rules of the game to where they're basically overnight on Tuesday, they cut off a little threshold where they didn't allow people to take their private savings accounts and roll them into their pensions, or vice versa. I think it was.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit complicated
Yeah.
because if you have a private pension,
Mhm.
and I was able to take some of my, I had a small private pension. I took some money out a couple years ago when I turned 55.
Yeah.
But there's two kinds of private pensions. I think defined benefit and then there's the company pension that is they're you don't know how much you're going to get. It's a little bit technical,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like they didn't stop people from transferring from like savings accounts, but from other kind of pensions.
Right.
And they were going to change the age for accessing private pensions from 55 to 57, but they're only going to do it in 2028.
Yeah.
But now they're using an excuse that there's too many people transferring it from other kinds of pensions to beat this 2-year extension. So what they've done, like I think it was midnight on November 3rd, they just said, "Oh, we're going to stop it from 2028. It's from now."
Right.
So
with no
people
warning.
are going to have to no warning.
With no warning.
The lesson learned here is that yes, I'm not saying people shouldn't have some kind of pension if they want to have it. Pensions that are regulated within the financial system, because you could think of your home, if you have a big home that you bought when you're younger and you still living it when you're older and your children are gone, you could think that as a pension, because when you get older and you sell that, you can move into a smaller home and cash in some of the profit, some of the value of the house, because in the UK there's no capital gains on your primary residence like in the States. So, but yeah, I'm not saying people shouldn't be in some kind of financial pension like that, and that has state rules, but that's what you have to know, that they can change the rules overnight. And that's why I say it's important to be outside the system as well. Maybe not completely. You might not want to be completely out of the system, or you might not be able to get out completely, but have a little bit of stuff that you can't see, like physical gold and silver. And
one of the things I noticed about this article was that the time frame at which they're changing the rules of the game is increasing. And so everything that in this article, as well as the next one, takes place within this decade. So why this decade? What are they trying to accomplish within this decade, which puts all these pensioners on under pressure, and they're disincentivizing people to want to continue to save more, just because of the uncertainty as to whether or not it's going to be paid out will be my biggest thing. Because I think between now and the end of this decade, according to the greater picture, they want to definitely make sure people don't have as much stored away, because they want people to access it now, to be able to spend it now if possible, just to get more currency in the circulation and get people spending again.
I think one of the reasons that the governments are broke, so they're trying to get as much money as possible from the people. The reason the UK article gives is that, there could be a lot of, if people are transferring all their funds, they could get scammed. I mean, that's such a lame excuse.
And then also they said it's about putting pressure on just overall pension market itself. If people started now they had a heads up and they started trying to withdraw from that system, it'll put pressure, because the funds aren't there.
I think it's because, they're trying to put it like in the defined benefit, like private pension from I think it was, I could be wrong, but they were trying to get it from their because if you work for a big company, they pay into that. And those companies might have spent all the saving, all the pensions, paying, the current retirees. And that's why they're saying, slow down, or else we don't have any money.
Exactly.
Stop these people doing that. And they use the excuse of, they might be scammed by people outside the system.
Yeah, it's for your protection. And then to go on this side of the waters as well, it looks like within the whole Build Back Better initiative, there's also plans of rechanging the game as well, which ultimately punishes savers of over $10 million or so. So once again, we're always taught to save as much as you can to be able to last you your entire life or beyond. But yet it doesn't look like that's a part of their plan. So they're basically punishing people who have over 10 million or so saved in some of their vehicles, and once again complicating things, making it difficult to save and earn. So they're basically saying you have to withdraw at a certain threshold. So but then again, the whole tax situation is going to be shady as well. But so basically over this side as well, the rules of the games are changing, and they're using this whole Build Back Better plan as a way to do that, which basically saying you can't there's a such thing now as saving too much. what I'm saying? If you have over
Yeah,
$10 million,
I'm
you're saving too
sure.
much.
I'm sure Nancy Pelosi will be okay. But yeah, it just shows how they can change the rules. If you go, could you go back to that FT article towards the end? I'm going to show you something that
Yeah.
just go to the end.
Yeah.
uh, uh,
Where you
Last
at?
paragraph.
Yeah.
The treasury, it says the Treasury added that the new increase to 57 would not apply to members of certain uniformed public service schemes,
Uh-huh.
right? So people who work for the government, that's not going to affect them. They can still do it at 55. Why is,
Yeah.
the private sector is always screwed.
Right. So I would say those same rules would apply to what's also happening here, because I also saw some tweets saying that government officials have a different spin on their words as well. They have some loopholes and some backdoor outlets type of thing still that's going to be included in this bill that nobody's really discussed yet. So I'd imagine the same thing is key here. But then another thing that would change topics is that the same time frame here. I want to say 2028 was also thrown in here as one of the time frames for some things as well. So here we go. We got
Oh
December
yeah, that's right.
2028. So 2028 is something that they both have come together as an ideal time frame to make sure people don't surpass a certain threshold of currency in their savings account. They want people to start withdrawing it sooner. So just more play into what's happening behind the scenes, man.
Actually, here they don't want people to withdraw it sooner. They want people to wait another 2 years.
Yeah.
But I think it's because some of the, and I could be wrong, some people might want to comment, some of the company pensions might be underwater, and they don't want people transferring from those to like the private ones where they can withdraw at 55.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the US, I think it's more a matter that they want to tax those wealthy retirement accounts over 10 million. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. And getting them and getting those people having to withdraw sooner for taxation purposes.
Yeah, for taxation purposes.
And then speaking of which,
in the UK, I guess it could be something more to do with the Ponzi schemeness of the whole thing.
So let's jump on to another subject matter as well. So, and then also, anybody have any thoughts or comments or questions, feel free to throw it out in the chat. We'll touch on them. But then it looks like some of the numbers are being revealed as having been fraudulent from the jump. And so Italian Institute of Health just drastically reduces its official, this whole pandemic death toll number. And it's a very significant number, to say the least.
97%. I mean, yeah, it's amazing. I think a lot of people were talking about that last year. They're saying a lot of these, fatalities.
Yeah.
Is it with or of? It wasn't clear. And people speculated, but they were called conspiracy theorists. But this article, though, I think it was hidden. I saw it on Twitter, but they hid it and they said that there's something wrong with it. But there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
It's like facts from the Italian, I think, where is it? Italian Higher Institute of Health.
So we got 130,000 initially reported when everything was crazy and chaotic, and the media was pumping mass fear, until down now to 3,700 people. And then once again, I'm assuming you probably can even define that more, because it says something about those that had already, one to five pre-existing conditions.
I think in the US, they're using the amount, the equivalent to is 750,000.
Yeah.
So if you do the same exercise, it's not very many deaths.
And not at all, but it is what it is.
Now we've got a Pfizer pill, so everything's great, right?
Oh, no, you saw the Merck pill?
No, there's a Pfizer pill now that came out today.
Are there for another one? Okay, I thought the Merck. So I saw the UK. I think the UK approved the Merck pill, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, but there's a big headline today was the Pfizer pill.
Oh man, these cats are competing.
Yeah,
what's going to be in that dang thing would be the question.
I guess they're trying to compete with. I don't know if I can say the name of that medicine. Starts with an IVER. IVER.
Oh, okay. So I see here, and once again, it's not what it is.
Pfizer's been the big news today.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and I saw Moderna shares were down yesterday. I assume they're having issues with competing with Pfizer. And so I don't even, I don't pay attention to that stuff as much, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm not planning to take any Pfizer pills either.
Well, on another note, it looks like U.S. companies. So Biden basically they mentioned this whole mandate stuff. Was it a month ago, 2 months ago? But now they've brought OSHA into it, which is the only thing different from what is already out there, and the severity of the fines. But how do you want to bring back our country and get things going when you're gonna have mass unemployment as a result of all this? Doesn't make sense. Not meant to make sense.
Now I mean, I guess this disease is really clever because it can wait until next year after the Christmas shopping season, right? So that's what they're talking about here, right?
Yeah,
that they're gonna.
So and that's also it's gonna force larger institutions or larger companies to make that decision whether or not they're gonna pay them those real fines, or they're going to reduce their overall head count to just 99 or something like that. They're going to lay off a lot of people, shift responsibilities onto the 99.
99,
that they keep.
I guess if I was in the States, it wouldn't apply to Billy and I. We're only two employees.
But then another thing, I saw a tweet that somebody put out there, and it says they're literally weaponizing every single agency against us. You know, all these IRS, FDA, CDC, OSHA, whatever. So it looks like the case as well. Turn it into.
I mean, the IRS was created. I think it was. They had some kind of IRS during the Civil War, and then it went dormant, and then they put it back to life in 1913, which is when the Federal Reserve was created, because in a fiat currency system, you need a strong taxing authority.
Yeah. And that's the whole place of the whole, inflation aspect. You need to, as you pump it out there, you need a way to draw it back in, and it happened to be from the people who work for it, depend upon it. And so on another note, let's talk a little bit about the crypto space. We cannot not talk about that. And so you brought this to my attention about Bitcoin Cash pumping due to, I guess, a Kroger hack or glitch or something like that. But it looks like on the Kroger website, somebody hacked into their system and announced that they'll be accepting Bitcoin Cash. And then Kroger came out and announced it as being a fake. It was a hack. And so it's like, man, like Bitcoin Cash was Litecoin a couple of weeks ago. So the question is, who's doing all this this hacking to promote and promote these coins before they dump? And I'm not sure if it's the crypto space itself. I would imagine it's some, I ain't gonna say government entities, but I don't know, just more people drive more fans into this space to get them all excited before they dump this thing.
Yeah, I think I was talking to you before we started that I'm not against cryptos or the blockchain. I think the future is going to be very bright.
Yeah.
But like with the internet, we had a huge bubble in the mid 90s to early 2000s. Anything with .com, you could have like let's say a Billy.com, and it would be valued at billions, and then it all collapsed.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of people away from the internet, and a lot of I remember Amazon collapsed as well. But if you had stayed with Amazon and even bought more shares, you'd be doing really well now. So I think that's what people need to be careful with. When you see mayors as well, you showed me there are mayors saying they want to get paid in Bitcoin, and you're getting the CFTC to get investors also, private and normal investors into Bitcoin. You have to be a little bit skeptical. I'm not saying we're going to collapse now, but I think it could be dangerous. And that's why the exposure I have to the blockchain and cryptocurrencies, I'm not going to change it, and I'm going to stay with it no matter what. But people chasing quick profits, they need to be careful.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just interesting how more mayors, as well as even just I think 2 days ago, some congressman talked about the need to have actual spot Bitcoin ETF. And so that right there puts pressure on the SEC and all the regulators to actually either listen or not. And so they're real excited about BTC. And it's amazing how American politicians are excited rather than just coming together and doing something to counter the Fed, edit the Fed, remove the Fed, or do something like that. They're trying to, I guess, bring in another alternative. Why not just deal with the main issue, which happens to be the Federal Reserve note?
Yeah, and the United States has a great monetary system in its constitution. It's called gold and silver.
Right, right. So
Why don't they go back to the constitution? It's very
right.
simple.
But now, wouldn't it be great if there would be some politicians, some mayors, or somebody like that talked about wanting to get paid in silver or in gold directly, like
Yeah,
wanting to get
yeah,
paid in actual money itself, and
yeah,
that'll never make headlines, but it would be very
yeah.
entertaining to see how that might generate more interest in the actual metals itself.
Well, that
But
could be
we'll see.
a sign of the top,
Of what,
uh,
or of what?
of
Of
the
what?
precious metals when you start hearing, things like that. Because I think there was a song, is it Private Dancer by
Uh-huh.
Tina Turner?
Private.
And I think it was in the late 70s,
Uh-huh.
early 80s. Where is
Yeah.
it? Let's see. Private Dancer. When did she? 1984. And I
Uh-huh.
think at the time, people were still concerned about the dollar because, gold had gone up to like 900 in 1980.
Yeah.
And I think she says Deutschmark or dollars, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there was also, I think, another famous comedian actress in the
Mhm.
she wanted to only get paid in Krugerrands, and that was like in 1979, 1980, and that
Really?
was right towards the top of the precious metals market. So
Mhm.
when you get mayors like that, I don't know if that mayor of New York is a Democrat or a
I think
Republican,
he
but
is.
Democrat, yeah.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah.
So
And
especially, yeah, if you have a Democrat mayor saying he wants to get paid in Bitcoin, then you have to be a little bit concerned about the price action, I would
yeah.
say.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's get to some questions. I did see some thoughts out there. Let me see. Let me see. We got David Phillips says, "What will be the purchasing power of silver in 2022?" The purchasing power of silver, and it all depends upon
Versus, yeah,
versus fiat. So
versus
right
what?
now, an ounce of silver, depending on what you paid for it, and I guess between now and then we'll see what the spot price is. But you'll be able to take those same amount of silver, and then if you wanted to redeem it back in a fiat, and that'll give you what you'll be able to purchase at that time. I don't see gold and silver really. Well, we'll see. But between now and next year, I don't see it. I hope it does, but I don't see it taking off to the moon in the way that the crypto space would. So whatever you pay for it now, you'll have that then, plus a little bit some on top of that. Would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, over the long term, it has done well in the last 20 years. I know that it depends which period you take, but I would say the purchasing power of silver will be higher versus fiat currencies, like you said, Mike, and probably also versus other commodities, because a lot of commodities have outperformed silver in the last year.
Yeah, and another thing is next year is still early in this whole wealth destruction scheme of them destroying the actual fiat currency. So it's like insurance. It's like an insurance policy. You don't want to collect on it next year. You wouldn't want to cash it in next year if you could. So literally, it's nothing you would want to touch until this system probably completely unravels, and then you'll have a better viewpoint as to what it's really worth in terms of what you can buy at that point. But
Yeah,
it's just like people using BTC now want to use their BTC for purchases. I'm like, why? Like, spend fiat. Like, that's what you want to get rid of. Like, I don't understand the point in spending any of that when it's definitely going to go up in fiat terms. So, but everybody do their thing differently. So, I saw another question out here. I think from LBP. Let me see where it's at. Something about
low blood pressure.
Yeah, it was something about the jab and content creators or something like that. When will they start requiring content creators to do the jab? Of which I do see that coming at some point. I can't find. I don't know what's that.
Barlight Broker is asking Mike and Mary, do either of you plan on getting a gold chain soon?
Yeah, he's a gold chain guy.
Yeah, I'm not. The only jewelry I have is my wedding ring, which is actually it's not silver; it's white gold.
Yeah.
You know. That's it.
So I actually months and months ago, I actually got a gold chain and I wore it on a show one time.
Or what about maybe you can Google and get an image of that Indian guy who had a gold shirt. Do you remember?
Oh yeah. I saw. I want to say that guy passed away or got killed.
He did.
Yeah.
I think someone stole his shirt.
Oh my goodness, that was it was a 24 karat shirt. Like that was a little much. That goes to show how much they love their gold. What else? Let me see any more questions out here. I see. Let me say you can. I don't know if I see any more questions. Are the questions? What can crypto do when power goes out? Good point. Not much.
It will still be around.
Yeah, it'll still be on the ledger, but you won't be able to access it.
I mean, power won't go out forever, so it will come back.
And you know what? And on top of that, with some of the CBDCs, I think it was Nigeria. I was doing a Nigeria Inera, and they were talking about being able to actually do transactions offline. I don't know how they figured it out, but I would assume for the CBDC sake, they will still want to be able to have those type of capabilities in case they deliberately pull the electrical plug or something like the internet goes down, because that will mess up their plans big time.
It won't only be Bitcoin that you won't be able to use if the power goes down for a week or two. You won't be able to access your online banking or anything like that.
Yeah.
Unless I'm not sure, So one thing that would work would be silver and cash. Paper money would work.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't carry paper money that much anymore. So that's probably why it's good to have a little bit spare, even fiat trash around.
Right. It's the emergency pile. Here's a question here from an alternative. It says, question, please. Could you guys discuss how the Fed is a separate entity independent of the Gov? How can Gov grant the right to print currency and buying of assets to a private entity? Yeah.
That's what people have been asking for 108 years.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I mean, the Fed, the 12 regional banks are privately owned. But the Federal Reserve Board in Washington, D.C. is like a government agency. So it's like a hybrid. And if you look at the Federal Reserve note, it's actually printed by the Bureau of Engraving, which is a government entity. And it's stamped by the United States Treasury, even though it's called the Federal Reserve Note. It's what the Federal Reserve Note, I guess, owes to the Treasury. It's quite, they made it really complicated so people would, but there's a note saying, the Federal Reserve is not federal, and it's not, it's as Federal Express, and it doesn't have any reserves.
Yeah. And then speaking of which, I remember there's so many thoughts on the images as well as the signatures here.
Federal Reserve Note there, and then it says U.S. Treasury, and it's signed by the Secretary of the Treasury and the Treasurer of the United States. So it's just a very misleading promissory note, I would say.
Exactly, but it's been ingrained into our psyche as our primary use of money and everything else. That's what we call money up until this point. So
should be called currency, really, technically.
Right, exactly. But people wouldn't really think about it that. Vince Grant, appreciate you, man. Said, is there a future date you think silver and gold will break loose? Future date. What do you think, Mario?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's doing it today. Gold is up $23, almost $21 right now. So I think we're very close. It could be in the month of November. But, I've been very patient. So I try not to get too bogged down in the fiat price, even though I do follow it. And sometimes it's frustrating. The best way to deal with this is to think, what's the alternative? Do I really want to convert my gold into a credit instrument and lend money to the bankers? Because that's what you're doing when you get out of gold or silver and you go into Federal Reserve notes or Bank of England notes or Euro notes or Australian, Reserve Bank of Australia notes. They're just promissory notes. So that's the way I try to stay the course.
Yeah, same here as well. And that's where I Yeah, I'm okay with holding off as long as possible on our price taking off, just because there's no such thing like you can never have too much saved. You can never have too much weight. So like, yes, when Fed Powell was talking, when he got done, I'm like, I felt inspired to go get my weight up. You know what I'm saying? So like literally after he got done talking, I'm like, yeah, this is not going to end well. Let me go ahead. So when he got some more ounces, I'm like, okay, well, the more the better to me. So because you're actually saving some real. But here's LBP's question here. And of course, I'm sure he's being funny with it. But
yeah, we don't have to read the question; we can see it. Yeah, I think it's December 7th. Low blood pressure. Pearl Harbor Day.
Oh man, what else we got going on here? So we got. I don't see any more questions here. But what's coming up? We got what, a month and a half or so left of this year. What do you foresee? What is there anything you foresee?
Oh, I think next week, I think on Thursday we get CPI, and I was reading Rafi Faber's Endgame Investor, and he said that a lot of the owner-occupied rates, which they use for the CPI, they're still counting as if rents have gone up really not that much. And he thinks that's going to go into the CPI. So he expects CPI to still be a problem. And of course, the Federal Reserve is behind the curve. All the central banks are behind the curve. And I saw a headline today in the FT. I didn't read the story, but the headline said it all. JP Morgan revises China growth for the 5th time since June. So, if China is slowing down like that, and I'm sure they're going to revise it down for the 6th time soon, the whole world is slowing down. And I think the Evergrande and the real estate bubble in China is unraveling. And there's going to be trouble, not just for China. I think the US economy is slowing down. The UK economy is slowing down. I saw European EU retail sales were lower than expected. And we had some good statistics for non-farm payroll today, the jobs data. But those are all tinkered with. And they don't count how many people are working. They do a survey and they extrapolate. And I saw they revised the previous 2 months, the non-farm payroll, a lot higher. I mean,
they're cooking the books on us, man. So
despite that, we're still at zero rates. If everything is great,
right? And so that's going to show the line on all fronts. As I said from my tweet earlier, all the government agencies are in on it now, as well as cooking the books, to literally trying to buy as much time as possible before this ship come crashing down, man. So enjoy it while it lasts, man. I think this holiday season is going to be interesting, because if they don't have the type of sales that they need to continue to sell that narrative, if people don't have confidence to go out and spend, or the shelves aren't fully stocked, as some of the pictures I've seen are the case, then there's going to be some issues. How do you hide that? Like, what do you come out with? And that's why I'm anticipating, whether these bills pass or not, we'll see. But then again, the debt ceiling issue, December 3rd is the day.
So I've forgotten about that.
And they're so focused on those packages, the climate package and the other pack and the Build Back Better package, they're not even talking about the debt. So that's going to be another issue. And they're playing that good guy, bad guy in DC. So we'll see, if they let something collapse or if they happen to kick the can further into next year. But so much stuff happening, man. It's very entertaining, I must say.
And plus, the other thing is this climate thing as well. They could use that as an excuse for some kind of event. There's a lot that can happen, and they might need another crisis, because it feels like for the Bank of England not to raise rates, even though they're almost at zero, for the Fed to be really reticent about being more hawkish. I think there's a problem out there in the that we don't know of in the financial system. And it's all to do with the economy slowing down, with people walking off. They don't want to be mandated to do anything. And that's creating a lot of problems, I think.
Yeah. And I wonder, as a result of that.
And an uncertainty, because uncertainty is a really dampener on markets and economies if you don't have uncertainty. If you don't have certainty,
Right. And then and along with that, Biden just officially nominated that one Afghanistani young lady to come in. And of course, if she, I doubt she gets nominated, or she's gonna get nominated. I doubt she gets approved, but we'll see. But if she does get approved, she's already laid out the game plan as to what she wants to do. Roll
The
all the commercial
communists,
banking accounts into the
yeah,
Fed accounts, and then at that point, will that be the official rollout of the Federal Reserve's version of the CBDC? Because that puts all the accounts of the U.S. into the hands of the Fed the way that they want it to go. So we'll see. So that could be this winter or spring.
yeah.
That
That's
rolls out.
The cashless society, isn't it?
Yeah.
I saw that Boris Johnson tweeted in Glasgow at that COP26. He said, "Oh, we need to work on the climate, on cash, and some other stuff." What do you mean work on cash? Does that? I think it means that they want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because it's much easier to control people if they don't have cash. The other thing it does, it gives the bankers, and that's before if they don't go CBDC straight away, every transaction the bankers will get seigniorage. Seigniorage is something that the sovereign state gets when they issue the currency. Like the U.S. Mint is supposed to get a little when you could take an ounce of gold to the treasury and they minted a double eagle for you. They would take 1% of the gold that you gave them.
Yeah.
That's because they have to, they have to pay
Their
for
costs. Yeah.
their costs. That's called seigniorage. But when the cashless society, the state loses seigniorage, and the bankers control. They get the seigniorage, so they don't even have to lend us money. Just us spending money around,
Yeah.
they'll get a cut. Like when you use your card.
Yeah. Dubois says Mario needs to get Billy a gold collar.
I'd rather get Billy special glasses where he could see through. Now he's not. He's going blind.
So low blood pressure says, "You guys remember George Soros breaking the Bank of England?"
I do. I actually do, because low blood pressure. I came to England in just in the beginning of September 1992. I was working in Switzerland. I was offered a job, and I was going to start my job in September. I started my job in September '92 in the city of London, and 2 or 3 weeks later, the British pound collapsed out of the European rate mechanism (ERM) because they're trying. It was the precursors to the euro, and yeah, it was George Soros who shorted the British pound. He apparently made $1 billion. But I remember it well because when I moved here, I negotiated my salary based on the exchange rate. At the time, £1 was 2 francs 40. And after that, it went like, I think, below 2. So I thought, wow, I just got screwed here, because I was earning, now I'm earning a lot less Swiss francs than I thought. So I do remember it.
Oh man. Well, we about what was it, about 40 minutes or so. So you get ready to wind down. As always, it's good to connect, touch on a lot of good issues. So we got a lot of stuff to cover. We'll keep our eyes on the days ahead. We'll see. But in the meantime, while you're able to continue to, get your weight up and definitely brace for impact as something gives eventually, because we know they're lying to us. They've been lying to us from day one. So the best you can do is, get your weight up, prepare in all forms of fashion. And enjoy the day-to-day aspect, man. But Mario, any thoughts on how to conclude this discussion? What's your plans for the weekend? Anything worthwhile or what?
Yeah, I like to say that yesterday I went to one of our friends' 50th birthday, and her daughter went to school with our daughter, and she was there, her daughter, and some of her friends, and another girl that went to school with my daughter. And I surprisingly, I found out that she's into coins and numismatics, and she's like quite young. And one of the boyfriends said, "Oh, I want to buy silver." I said, "Really?" So I think it's encouraging. And even though he said I'm looking at Bitcoin as well, but I like silver and gold.
Yeah.
So what I learned from going out yesterday and having a nice time and talking to younger people is that they're clued up, you know, because most people think, oh, young people, they don't want to know about gold or coins or silver, but it seems like they do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So that's true. Hopefully more people come to that realization because they're being steered towards the digital side of things. So
Yeah,
it's probably nothing
it's
wrong with having both.
interesting. And I started talking to one of them and about the whole monetary system, and he was really interested.
Yeah, and then speaking of which, I didn't know this, but Du Bois says, remember the 5th of November,
Oh yeah,
today is Silver Rate Day. I didn't know anything about that. So interesting there. So I definitely had, you know, the idea.
5th of November is like the it's a big historical date. 416 years ago, they tried to blow up Parliament. Guy Fawkes and his a few other guys.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of fireworks tonight, and we burned the guy, you know, Guy Fawkes. So yeah, they try to burn Parliament. So it's a big day here, 5th of November. But I don't remember. Is ST Bullion doing a 5th of November?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't checked. Yeah. Yeah. So I've dialed back on buying online. I just prefer to just, you know, save myself a couple dollars by going to my local people. So just, you know, get more bang for my buck locally. And of course, there's no eyes and ears, you know, overseeing that transaction primarily. But anyway, but yeah, so everybody, appreciate you guys hanging out with us as always. Have a great weekend. Be blessed, be safe, and we'll see you guys next week. And other than that, Manico64 on YouTube, if you get it know already. And of course, Rethinking a Dollar if you're new to the channel as well. But anyway, be blessed, be safe. See you guys later. Peace.